and 104.3 HD3.
Trump and Putin set to discuss Ukraine. I'm Sue Guzman, Fox News. President Trump telling reporters Sunday night he expects to meet with Russian President Putin on Tuesday to discuss a possible ceasefire peace plan to end the war in Ukraine.
We'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's it's a big question.
Commenting aboard Air Force One as he returned to Washington from Florida, he said they had been having discussions about ending the war in Ukraine and divvying those up as the assets, and he suggested an announcement could be forthcoming on Tuesday. The White House says it did not defy a federal court order to return migrants deported over the weekend. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
The Trump administration did not refuse to comply with a court order, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says, after the administration flew hundreds of suspected migrant gang members to El Salvador and Honduras. Leavitt says while the order from a federal district court judge had no lawful basis, it was issued after the migrants were already out of U.S. territory and airspace. Judge James Boasberg issued his ruling Saturday, temporarily blocking the deportations. He verbally ordered the aircraft turned around, but did not include that in his final written order. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The Vatican releasing the first photo of Pope Francis since he was admitted to the hospital for double pneumonia. The Vatican said the Pope took part in the celebration of Mass with other priests in the 10th floor papal apartment in the hospital. No word on when the pontiff might be released. And you know what today is? St. Patrick's Day. Lots of folks will be wearing the green. In fact, in New York City, millions of spectators are expected to be on hand for the country's largest parade, 6 hours long, touches off at 11 a.m. Eastern. America's listening to Fox News.
Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
I'm Ben Domenech, Fox News contributor and editor of the Transom.com daily newsletter, and I'm inviting you to join a conversation every week with the smartest thinkers out there about the issues Americans face and where we're going as a nation. This show will feature deep dive interviews with newsmakers and some of your favorite Fox News analysts. I hope you'll join me as we dive into the fray. It's the Ben Domenech Podcast.
Subscribe and listen now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download podcasts.
Strong storms tearing a deadly path of destruction across parts of the South and Midwest. Fox's Robert Ray in Tylertown, Mississippi, says we may not have seen the worst of it.
We have had 3 fatalities here, and people are mourning them in this very small community. If we broaden this out, the amount of destruction across the country this weekend has just been unbelievable. Over 250 tornado warnings. We're looking at the potential of approaching over nearly 80 actual tornadoes. National Weather Service is working all that out as we speak. They're on the ground and working it out in their offices. And over 35 people have lost their lives in total across multiple states, from the wildfires and the wind in Texas and Oklahoma to the supercells and the twisters here in the South and in the Midwest.
U.S. warships have shot down nearly a dozen Houthi drones since President Trump launched airstrikes against the Iran-backed rebels over the weekend. Fox's Trey Yingst has the latest about that.
The Houthis launched a missile that landed in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. The focus on Yemen comes as negotiating teams continue to work toward another hostage release that could see some of the remaining captives freed from Hamas captivity in Gaza. The current agreement being discussed would see an extension of the current pause in fighting and up to 11 living hostages released. Efforts to get hostages freed are running parallel to efforts that could end the war between Russia and Ukraine. Teams are still hammering out the details of a deal that would see at least a 30-day pause in fighting. President Trump is expected to speak this week with President Putin of Russia to try and get this short-term deal across the finish line.
And the president redesignated the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization in January after former President Joe Biden reversed his original declaration. A devastating fire at a nightclub in North Macedonia, leaving 59 people dead, 155 injured. The blaze sparked by pyrotechnics used at a concert stage that ignited the roof. I'm Sue Guzman. This is Fox News.
KFC's Lent menu is filled with so many seafood options, it's enough to keep you going for the entire Lenten season. They're all here. Popcorn shrimp, fish wraps, fish fillets, shrimp and crab Killiquin wraps, and our famous KFC shrimp burger. And now you can mix and match chicken and fish in both 6 and 12-piece family meals with sides and biscuits. KFC's Lent menu is available for a limited time at all KFC restaurants and for delivery at kfcguam.com or WhatsApp 300-3278. KFC, it's finger-licking good for Lent.
Whoever said no risk, no reward has never been sued. Hi, I'm Dave Silva from AB Risk Solutions, and our job for over 70 years has been to help businesses just like yours manage risk. Manage risk? We will never be able to totally eliminate the myriad of risks every business faces, but we can help you manage them and recover when disaster strikes. From mom and pop operations to high-rise hotels, we're the experts businesses have counted on for many years. Call me today at 777-2668 for a free risk review and consultation.
AB Risk Solutions, formerly known as Aon.
Celebrate 75 years of Payless Supermarkets with a $5 off fuel coupon to redeem at any 76 Circle K location when you shop and save at Payless Supermarkets. That's right, $5 off fuel with every $75 purchase at any Payless location. But hurry, this offer is only good from March 1st to April 30th, 2025. So don't miss out. Stock up on groceries and hit the road with fuel savings from Payless Supermarkets and 76 Circle K. Minimum $30 fuel purchase required to redeem coupon. Some conditions apply.
Listen to The Point anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Find your favorite stations like The Point and discover more. Music stations, local and trusted news sources, sports talk and team coverage, plus today's biggest podcasts. Find it all on the Odyssey app. AUDACY.
Is 18:07 hours, which means it's time for Veterans with Benefits. Your hosts, Anthony Tyrone and Corinna Ballista.
Half a day, we're back. Man, busy week. I feel like we were just here, right, Anthony, Jose?
Yeah.
We were just here like a week ago.
That's usually how long it takes.
Jose, are you in uniform?
I'm in uniform.
But what color?
Green.
I'm wearing green.
Me too. Look at Anthony. He decided to be the rebel.
He just wants to get pinched.
Yes, he does.
You guys just want to go. I'm red. I want to stop.
Of course, it's go. We want to go. Well, welcome back. Of course, we always want to thank our sponsors. You're listening to us on The Point, 93.3. You can call into 671-888-TALK. Thank you to Ambrose, Hebzibah Family Medical Clinic, American Legion. Visit them for steak day every second Saturday. So delicious. Master Blasters for all your water blasting needs. JTC Services, Domino's. Thank you to
Dane Titano.
All right. And then 11Z's, I got an espresso. So normally this drink has 3 shots of espresso.
Oh gosh.
But I said no, I need 2. But I think Anthony didn't know the trick. So now you had 3?
I don't know what I had.
You think you had 3 shots?
I think they're trying to make me drunk over there. I have to talk to Miss Grace about that.
All right. And the most services. And then my favorite part, Veteran of the Week.
Yes.
So every week, Red Cross Guam has been nominating a veteran to be Veteran of the Week. And this week is Darren Okada.
Oh, yeah.
Darren Okada is a proud veteran of the Army National Guard and Air National Guard. Having served a combined 10 years in the military, he dedicated 7 years as an infantryman, 11 Bravo, in Guam with the Army National Guard, followed by 3 years in the Air National Guard as a material management specialist in Alaska. During his time in the Army, he deployed to Sinai, Egypt, and in the Air Force, Qatar, gaining valuable experience in military operations and logistics. Reflecting on his military career, Darren describes his service as an unforgettable experience that shaped him both personally and professionally. From the rigorous training to the lifelong friendships he built, he credits the military with teaching him self-discipline, leadership, teamwork, adaptability, resilience, time management, and integrity. Deployments brought unique challenges, but they also fostered strong bonds with fellow service members, reinforcing the importance of trust and camaraderie. Today, Darren continues to serve his community as an outreach specialist with the West Care Pacific Islands Path to Freedom program. In his role, he performs street outreach, seeking homeless veterans in need of critical services. He also collaborates with community organizations and partners to expand resources and support for veterans in need. Darren remains a strong advocate for military service and encourages others to consider joining, emphasizing the invaluable skills, experiences, and personal growth that come with wearing the uniform. Let's thank him for his service. Let us honor him for his service. Congratulations, Darren Okada, Veteran of the Week. All right.
We were just with them at the Hiring Our Heroes when they had something. Was that 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Right? So they had their event, and then they're helping us out with the summit.
Yes, which we'll get to as soon as you are done sharing our tip of the week or question of the week. So even though we have this radio show, there's a lot of information that are available to veterans. So every week we try to touch on a question that a veteran had, something we experienced that a veteran was unaware of, and then we share it.
So I'm going to go ahead and talk about this stuff. Okay, so today we're talking about the Blue Water Vietnam Veterans Act of 2019. So it's Public Law 116-23. Significantly expanded benefits for veterans who served in the offshore waters of Vietnam during the Vietnam War. This law ensures that Blue Water Navy veterans who previously were not presumed to have been exposed to Agent Orange are now eligible for VA disability compensation and health benefits for conditions related to herbicide exposure. Who does the law apply to? Under 38 CFR subsection 3.307A6 III, the law grants a presumption of herbicide exposure to veterans who served on a U.S. military vessel within 12 nautical miles of the coast of Vietnam or in the inland waterways, brown water. But I think the brown water folks were already given ahead of the blue water. Between January 9, 1962 and May 7, 1975. Also for number 2, those who served in Korean DMZ, demilitarized zone, between September 67 and August of 71. So 3, surviving dependents of veterans who passed away from conditions linked to Agent Orange exposure, and that's DIC eligibility. So this presumption means that veterans no longer need to prove direct exposure to Agent Orange or, service in the designated area is enough to qualify. What conditions are covered under 38 CFR subsection 3.309 ECHO? The VA recognizes certain diseases are presumptively linked to Agent Orange exposure, including, but not limited to, ischemic heart disease, type 2 diabetes mellitus, respiratory cancers, that would be lung, bronchus, larynx, trachea, Parkinson's disease, chronic B-cell leukemias, Hodgkin's disease, and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, multiple myeloma, prostate cancer. Veterans with these conditions are eligible for VA disability compensation, health care, and potential survivor benefits for their dependents. how the law affects survivors and dependents. If a Blue Water Navy veteran passed away due to conditions related to Agent Orange exposure, their surviving spouse, children, or dependents may be eligible for dependency and indemnity compensation, which is the DIC, benefits under CHAMP VA. Okay, so survivor's pension and health care benefits under CHAMP VA. The M21-1 Adjudication Manual, Part 4, Subpart 2, Chapter 1, Section H, oh man, makes me want to be a lawyer, outlines how the VA should process claims for Blue Water Navy veterans, ensuring fair consideration of all qualifying service records. If a previous Agent Orange related claim was denied, veterans and survivors should be consider filing a supplemental claim, as the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act allows for retroactive benefits in some cases. Okay, in conclusion, the Blue Water Navy Vietnam Veterans Act of 2019 corrects a long-standing gap in benefits, ensuring that Navy veterans who served offshore in Vietnam receive the same Agent Orange-related benefits as those who served on land. If you or a loved one qualify, it is crucial to apply as soon as possible to receive the compensation and healthcare benefits deserved.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing that important information, because I think you've always talked about that, before I joined the nonprofit organization HMI with you, and then, Doc was with you. You guys did, and you were talking about Agent Orange, right?
Yes.
You guys were doing that for 2 years.
That's right.
Until the PACT Act was passed.
Yeah, before the PACT Act, we were already, because of our exposure to our veterans and talking to them and them telling us what they experienced when they were stationed at these different places, we kind of already started having them write up about their experiences so that, they can tell the VA, hey, there were things that affected us when we were on active duty, and these are probably things that, you're about to, compensate us for.
When you guys were working with that, did you guys already know there was something working through Congress?
No, we didn't actually. We were just pushing things through like we normally tell veterans, if you got something, file it, because if you don't file it, if you take, for example, what I just read, veterans that may have been involved in the Blue Water, if they filed prior to this law being passed in 2019, right, they have the ability to be retroactively compensated.
Yes.
Which is interesting, right? So the VA wants to pay us and wants to take care of us, but it's also our responsibility to file these claims. And we don't know. Like, for example, one of the what I feel might be our next Agent Orange would be the firefighter foam.
AFFF.
Yes, so if that's going to be our next Agent Orange, many folks that may have been exposed to it should start filing today.
Yes. Did you want to add something, Jose?
Just a question. Does this apply also to survivor spouses?
Yes, that's the bottom, and the bottom of the flyer I sent you.
DIC.
It talks about DIC. So DIC is dependency indemnity compensation. So that's for the surviving spouses or dependents. So if the dependent was born with a disability or incapable of taking care of themselves, then yes, they're considered a dependent.
And by the way, since you bring that up, there's a thing we've often mentioned on here is the NEMER cases. Those are NEHMER. Those cases are the only time that the VA has sent their folks out to say, go find these veterans, because there's a large number of them who have not filed, and more than likely these folks have benefits waiting for them. So if you fall into the Vietnam era, if you were out there and you haven't filed, you need to go file, because there's money there for you. And that's way before Doge happened, so you should be fine.
Let's say hello to those watching us online. So we have Edward Buendicho, half a day, and then of course our loyal favorite Brennan Fausto. Good evening, awesome veteran warfighters. Marvin Ike Iseki, because we only know him as Ike, but apparently his name is Marvin, according to some people. Half a day HMI, good evening. Charlie Hermosa, how are you guys? A big hug to Anthony. I'm not sure what's that about. Is that like an inside joke or something? I don't know what that's about.
He's a very nice man.
Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. So we did have a lot of functions just happened. We wrapped up our benefits boot camp. Tomorrow we have our Veterans Summit up at Anderson. So if you're active duty, guard, reserve, retiring, separating soon, come and join us. We're going to have General Palensi's going to be there. We're going to have the governor speak, governor, lieutenant governor. The next day we're going to have, or is it Thursday? Senator Sabrina Salas Manzanani will be there Thursday.
Not Wednesday?
No, because she has a hearing on Wednesday.
Okay.
She has
so
a
she got
GMH
moved
hearing.
also.
Yeah, she got moved to Thursday.
Her and Chuck. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But Vince will be there. So they are the veteran committee
yes.
In the legislature. And then Colonel Joe Mofness from the veteran liaison from the governor's office will be on day one.
Okay.
We're going to have a lot of different resources. And the most important, the one that everyone is, shooting around in all the chats is Social Security. Social Security Guam office will be there to answer any questions. Also, we're going to have
MWR.
Miss Celeste. She's going to do the CBOC.
The 1010 easy, right?
She'll be there registering veterans for if they're eligible to register for health care.
And get their picture started,
Yes.
right?
Yes, she's setting up there. We're also going to have Todu Guam come.
Right.
We're going to have University of Guam. We're going to have Bank Pacific. We're going to have all sorts of people there tomorrow. So Jose's over there. So if you're online, you could scan it there. Or you can text me at 671-682-7631 to register. I'll send you the registration link. This is absolutely free. This is only available to those that have base access. Or if you can have someone sponsor you on, you guys can come to it. There's going to be refreshments and lunch provided. So that's coffee, water, tea, and then lunch and then refreshments all day.
Now, if you are, 100% veteran, you can sponsor a person.
Yes.
Or if you are a retiree,
yes,
right, you can sponsor somebody.
Yes.
Or you're active duty.
Yes.
Now, if you are just a Veterans Health Identification card holder and you have service connection, you cannot sponsor somebody.
No, you cannot.
Yes. So
you cannot. So that has changed since December 2024. The old policy was that Veterans Health Identification card holders can sponsor up to 5. Right. That's no longer the case. So if you do not have a Veterans Health Identification card for yourself that says service connected on it, or you're not a retiree, or you don't have some sort of base access to that you can sponsor, you cannot sponsor.
Now, General Palenski is going to be there.
Yes.
So we could ask him that question,
Yes.
and he might be able to share that. And then I think we're getting somebody from the congressman's office.
Yes.
Okay, so we could also ask more questions. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of having these folks there for us to, just ask the question about what they're feeling and things that might be happening and things that might not be happening,
Yes.
right? Because they'll
leaders.
be there.
Yep. Come and talk to your leaders.
Yeah.
Ask them what's going on. How can we find a way forward? What can we do? What's going on with this? And then we have Bill Salisbury, half a day, HMI Biba. All right. So should we introduce our guests? Oh my gosh, we're almost to a break. We're going to introduce our guests. So we've been trying to get our guests on for the past 2 weeks. But we have Miss Brenda Rivera here with Mr. Papi. Oh, that's what she calls him. I think he has another name, but that's what she likes to call you. So these are both veterans, and they're going to share their experience with the VA healthcare system. Take it away.
Well, where do we start?
Well, let's talk about you're a veteran, right? Yes. So let's talk about your service and the time you spent in service. So what branch were you in?
Marine Corps.
Whoa,
and
wow.
I enlisted in I enlisted.
Did you hear that, Jose? You better not mess around.
In 77.
Wow.
I swore in then, but I was in college. I finished, and then I actually went active duty in 78.
Very nice.
Yeah.
How do you keep her in check, sir?
Well, at the time I didn't know her, but
Good answer. Good answer.
Anyway, so you were in the Marine Corps, and how many years did you spend in
I
the?
spent 2 years active. I had a 6-year hitch, 2 and 2.
Okay.
But inactive and then reserve. And
Very
I did
good.
the 2.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service. And then so you joined the service, and then after you joined the service, you just went around your regular life, right? Did you file for any benefits after you got out?
No, unbeknownst to myself, I had no idea. We didn't get these boot camps. We didn't get nobody coming on base, giving us an exit. They just said, you're honorable and you're out of here. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Carry on with your life. Wow. Interesting. All right. And then to you, good sir, over there, Mr. Rivera, you were in what branch of service?
I was at the Army.
Army. Okay. Did you spend 4 years there too?
No, I had the same thing, 6 years.
6 years also.
And it was the first Army.
Okay.
I did my training in
Fort Ord?
in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, okay.
And then I went to Fort Campbell in Tennessee and Kentucky.
Yes.
And that's where I spent the rest of my 2 years.
Okay.
And then 2 years Army Reserve and 2 years inactive.
Very good. Oh, so almost the same, 2 and 2. All right. And what year were you in?
Repeat again?
What year did you come into the service?
Oh, it was in 62.
Okay.
June 18.
Okay. So
I was, at the time I was married, I had 3 kids. They sent me to the state of New York, sent me a letter, and they put a New York token to it to reporter to report, and it was actually in Long Island. Actually, it was called the Governor's Palace.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they called it anyhow. But that's what I had to report.
Ah.
So when I went, of course, I get all the information, this and that, and then they tell you to. That same day they want to send me to Fort Campbell.
No.
I mean,
Jersey.
Jersey.
Okay.
Was for
I said, how you got home and my kids and my wife, I didn't even say goodbye or nothing like that. All right, go home and come back next day.
Okay. And then same thing with you. After you got out, you didn't file for any benefits.
The thing is, I was not told. I didn't know about it. If I would have known, I would have started doing something.
Right.
But I didn't know for years.
Okay. And all right. And then when did we first file? Who filed first, or who had
my husband, he tried. He just kept saying, we need to do it.
Right.
And he kept trying. And so I took him to VA way back, but I never followed anything because it just didn't make sense, and they didn't help me. And
right.
He took something in, and we never heard from him, so we didn't do anything until we got here.
Ah, and when you got here, what kind of information did you get?
Well, we came here, and we had to register for medical because he came here in a medical state, critical state.
Oh, okay.
Circumstantially.
Right.
So processing, getting his ID card back, and moving through everything, that's when we said, we found out that we needed to go file for intent to file.
Okay,
and we did.
To get your claim started.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you did that stuff, did you do that through any particular group out here?
Yeah, we went to the VA initially.
Down in Assen?
Yes, PT,
Okay.
like that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we went there and tried to move forward, and we didn't get anything moving forward at all.
Okay. And then what did you do after that?
Then what did I do? I don't even remember. Oh, I remember meeting Karina and just some conversations about other things.
Yeah.
And then she just asked me the question, are you
Are
a
you-
vet?
are
I was
you a
like,
vet?
yeah. And then she said, your husband's a vet? I go, yeah. And I said, oh, we've been trying to do that. Nah, I don't want to bother because it's just ridiculous and
Right.
it's just a loop and forget it. She says, no, let's see. Gather your papers and bring them down. So this particular day, I told my husband, he says, let's do it now. And he said, who's Karina? I said, the lady that I'm doing the business with. So he came with me one day,
Yeah.
curious, and we met her, and he was like, yeah, you need to bring the papers. But he got sick. So I brought all his documents that I could find, records, and I tried to gather everything that they had did with the previous intent, and I think it had expired by then.
Okay.
And then she says, okay, let me just look through it, and I can help you actually put the intent to file in.
Okay. All right. And then that was the start of your next journey of, hey, there's still a chance for you guys to go after your benefits, correct?
Right.
Okay.
She stayed after me, and she said, you're a vet, bring your stuff.
Yes.
I brought, eventually I did. I was like sluggish like a slug, but I eventually did bring my documents, and she helped me to start putting in my intent to file.
And I think initially you were just doing it for your husband at the time, and I think part of that was because of his medical at the time, right? So you were really trying to push that. And I think initially, if I remember us talking earlier, that he did have a small percentage back then.
No.
Oh, it's still
I thought he did. I thought he was like
10%.
Okay.
Yeah, right when I met you, I was like, oh yeah, we had just gotten 10%.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say.
And the reason we're talking about that, right, is because I think when we were over there, we talked a little bit about there are some veterans who could be at 10%, and the VA takes care of all of their care. And we know of somebody who was 10% and had a massive heart attack. And they took that person, they medevaced them off island, paid for and everything, got the treatment. I think it came up close to $100,000. The guy came back home, no bill. They took him, flew him out there at 10%, fully covered by the VA. And these are the instances when we talk about the VA being very good to our veterans. And we have to talk about that. Now, I think we're going to be talking about sometimes that's not always the case.
That's not my case.
So, but when we come back, we're going to dive in to the medical experience you just had in Palo Alto. I think a lot of veterans would love to hear that. We'll be right back. You're listening to us on The Point 93.3.
Have you ever wondered why it seems like no one's ever smiling in old photos? By old, I mean photographs taken during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Capturing an image back then was a lengthy process. The exposure time for cameras often ranged from several seconds to minutes. Maintaining a natural smile for an extended period of time was challenging. One slight twitch could result in a blurred image. It was much easier just to remain stone-faced. Cultural factors also played a role. During this time, the commonly accepted practice for portraits involved a serious or stoic facial expression and not some silly grin. It's also possible, but less likely, that because dental care wasn't what it is today, folks weren't eager to show off their poor teeth. It wasn't until advancements in photographic technology and a shift in cultural norms that smiling in photos became more common. Matt Murphy, Fox News.
This Lent, Mescla Fusion Bistro invites you to embark on a culinary journey filled with both tradition and innovation. Our specially crafted Lent menu celebrates fresh, local seafood, reimagined with Chef Peter Duenas' signature fusion flair. Mescla Fusion Bistro, where tradition meets taste this Lent and beyond. Visit us online at mesclaguam.com or call 671-479-2652 or 671-479-2653 to make a reservation.
Back. Let's see who's joining us online. We have Joseph Ramos. Good evening, HMI team and veterans. Joseph Ramos, are you ready for the summit tomorrow? Anthony said driving up, because we did the walkthrough today, that he's excited. I was like, I think I'm just more stressed. There's so much going on.
It's going to be fun. We'll
and
have our
then
best.
Robert Kelly gives us a salute.
Hey.
And then Jose salutes him right back. All right.
nice.
So in studio, we have Mr. and Mrs. Rivera, and they want to talk about, they're both veterans. They want to talk about their most recent trip to Palo Alto. And I always told them, like, I think this is how all veterans should be treated because it sounded like a dream.
Yeah.
Dream come true.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, we were very grateful that we had a situation where Tom had a massive heart attack and he was sent right over to Guam Regional Medical City, which was not able to perform that procedure. And so they put forth a package with case management there with GRMC and VA, and they were able to send us off island to Palo Alto for his care, and it was very successful.
Can you tell us how that happened, like step by step? Because not all veterans get that same care.
Exactly. Well, initially, I had to start asking a lot of questions, and it was recommended that I call the congressman's office, and there was a really nice veteran who works for that department who assisted me on what I needed to do, which was get the reports, write out a statement, what exactly needs to be done, and then they actually took forth the effort to call VA, call CBOC, and all the other disciplines that was involved in that care to find out exactly why he wasn't directly sent to finalize the procedure that was unsuccessful, which was a stent. So once they gathered everything together and I got that information, they put everything together and they got the package together, and my husband was sent over to Palo Alto, and it was amazing and was very successful. So in my husband's case, it was very useful that they could assist and navigate me through getting to Palo Alto.
And so the congressman's office, and I think you said that a social worker helped you also?
Yes. Initially, it started with GRMC social worker, and then the assignment to a VA social worker so that they could look and see, well, why is this process not moving forward when he has a critical status? He already had one heart attack. He had some other altercating issues, but yet they weren't really being looked upon like as urgent. And here we was now finding ourselves in an ambulance directly from ER at Naval directly to the operating room table.
And then after that, you finally made it out to Hawaii, is that correct?
Well, initially,
right?
Before this happened, he had those problems before.
Yeah.
We had to go to Hawaii. He had a stroke. He had to go. He was there for like 2 months.
Okay.
And then we came back, and instead of like getting everything done there, we were told we needed to go back to primary care. So it was a lot of back and forth, and it was like my expenses. I wasn't getting assistance.
So the VA wasn't paying for that first time.
Two times
that
I was referred to Hawaii.
Okay.
By the CBOC?
By the CBOC, by the VA. The first time was neurological issues, and the second time was heart stroke issues. And so, yeah, both times it was our expenses.
And so this time,
I was like, I can't continue to afford to do this, you know. So they looked a little bit more closer into the situation. So that is why I was like, and then the intent to file, we did do that, and we did get benefits sufficient enough to be able to be eligible for Benny travel.
So
right, because that's 30%. Go ahead.
Right. So had you not have put your claim in
I would
at the
have
time,
never known.
You may not have been able to travel.
Exactly.
So do you thank Miss Karina for that?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
HMI.
Yeah, I was assisted and I was guided through like, okay, this is some of the things that's availing you.
And so I guess the question we'll ask is, did they do anything special, or did they just say, hey, turn your claim in and see what the VA does?
No, actually, I didn't quite understand the whole system. So they helped me to go and decide what documents I needed, what I needed to bring, where I can find it, and actually the steps of how do I do the research to get the documents that I needed.
Very good. And what I'm trying to really get at is there was no real, Miss Karina doesn't know, she's not like this professor from
no.
Harvard or anything, right?
No.
Oh,
no.
So she just said, Miss Brenda, Mr.
On
Rivera,
his documents, because I never even thought about my
together,
stuff.
right? And you guys turned it in, and nothing special. turned your stuff in and you went through the process.
And this guy sent it up to VA for me.
Right. And because you did that, he now was able to say, oh, his percentage is now no longer 10%.
And it's just going up and up slowly, patiently going up. And made him eligible for that travel.
And now he's eligible for the travel.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay.
Oh, that's a good segue into travel. Tell us about travel. Benny Travel.
Benny Travel. Where do we start? I put my documents in. Yeah.
Okay.
I got approved.
Okay.
We went. Then we came back. And the protocol was when you come back to turn in all your expenditures as far as food is concerned and your travel, transportation from the airport to the facility.
Right.
So I put my documents in and I turn them into the right source. I call, I needed help.
Right.
So I got help to fill out the exact papers, all the receipts, made a package. It was sent to the proper person, and I hadn't heard anything. No. I signed them right in front of the individual, got everything done. And then they said, 4 to 6 weeks, maybe. I said, okay. So I waited 4 weeks. My phone bing. It's time to call the mister. I call mister and I say, so I haven't heard anything. So what's the next step shall I do? Can you assist me? My documents are still there, not processed.
After 4 weeks?
4 weeks.
Wow.
It was missing one signature on like page 3. But we literally went over it with this person to do it. So we signed 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Now, backing up a bit, this procedure was way back December. So late January, I'm calling, I need to sign again. Okay. Around February 15th, I was informed that it wasn't the responsibility of this beneficial travel section, I guess Hawaii, because it was out of Hawaii jurisdiction, and it was upon the jurisdiction of Palo Alto, California's beneficiary. I said, but there was nothing in there. All the stuff was referenced to Hawaii, and how to do everything Hawaii. But it didn't say once I get to Palo Alto that I need to go into their Benny Travel and I need to relinquish all this expenditure to them.
Now, this is Benny Travel to Benny Travel, right? These are our VA folks, right?
Yes.
This is their job. So they get to call each other, right?
Yes.
They should be able to, I hope.
He was right there in the hospital, like right next door to where
the Benny Travel in Palo Alto.
Yes.
And when you talked to him, he said, you're going to have to fill this out when you get to Guam.
Well, we really never even went through that because that wasn't my understanding. It was when you return, fill out this document, turn in these receipts for your expenditures.
Now, did you find any resources? Was there a VA.gov place you could go to? Was there did anybody at Palo Alto tell you, hey, go here and this is where they're going to help you and you're going to have all these things? They just said, when you get to Guam, go to the Benny Travel office.
They had nothing to do at any point telling me about anything about doing this and doing that and connecting with them. When I left here, my understanding from all the documents they gave me was when I returned, I was to turn in these receipts.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So if that's the case, right, we're looking at, Palo Alto has nothing to do with this. You're done. You went out. Now you're back. So you got to file it here on Guam.
Exactly.
Right? So you come home and you turn the paperwork in, and it's not done. And it's still waiting. When you first met them, they said, everything's good to go. And then 4 weeks later, you called them. They didn't call you.
Exactly.
You called them and they said, hey, you're missing a signature. So maybe if you didn't go back, that signature, nobody would know what's going on.
Exactly.
Now, we're now in March. Has there been any development on that?
Since the 16th of February, I haven't gotten a call. It's been sent. Sent where? Cyberspace. Where? Give me a number so I can call to Palo Alto. Is that the protocol, or is it that you're going to call them and follow through and they'll send it back to you? Oh, no, they'll direct deposit you when they process.
So it seems like you were told to bring it when you're done, come back, fill it out. Palo Alto says come back to Guam. So it looks like Guam seems to be where you need to figure something out. And right now they said they sent it out and you just got to wait, right?
But I don't think that's the point. Why does the veteran have to figure it out? Someone was hired to do the job. Shouldn't they do the job?
Well, and that's what we're trying to figure out, right? And
Well, they did their job, as far as I'm concerned. The document said they will set up your transportation for you to return to the airport for your flight to get back to Guam.
Are you getting any interest on this money?
I have no idea.
I mean, no, really. I mean, no, when you really think about it, because I'll share with you, right? And that was one of the things when I once spoke to the VA about my claim and it taking so long, right? They said, "Sir, we're going to back pay you." I said, "Oh, okay," but they didn't say there was going to be interest on it. So there's really no incentive for the federal government to really do something, right? And I don't know if maybe that might be the thing, right? Is if we put an interest on it, that if they don't pay us on time, they have to pay the interest. And now the federal government, Elon's going to finally say, "Hey, whoa, wait a minute. We cannot keep paying interest." Well, why not? You got to get all your workers on this, right? So maybe that could be the point that we need to do. But it's interesting that you're out of money, and for all intents and purposes, how long should a veteran be out of his or her money because the federal government is taking its time and you think 30 days should be enough, maybe?
Sufficient.
Right? 30 days, right? I mean, okay, so let's just say it's 60 days. 60 days seems, semi-reasonable, right?
But not 3 months.
Ooh,
Yeah,
wow,
right now we're on 3 months.
Yeah, and it might not be a lot of money, but it's money nonetheless, right?
Exactly.
You're out of money
Exactly.
that you could probably go buy popcorn, or you could go buy Miss Karina a drink because she was nice to you before, but you don't have that money, right? And maybe not all veterans are in your same situation. Now, if we just think about it again, right? You've already spent so much money initially flying out on your own because the VA didn't want to pay for it at the time.
Exactly.
2 times.
Exactly.
And on that second trip, if I remember correctly, they told you, no, you got to fly back to Guam.
Exactly, versus the doctor's recommendation to follow through to go to another clinic that can further the studies of his condition. And we were already in Hawaii heading to the mainland.
But they said, no, you go back to Guam.
Go to primary care and let them start the package deal.
And what happened when you went to...
Oh, it was a loopy-doopy 6 months later.
And
in the interim, he threw a massive heart attack.
And you had to go back to where you wanted to go to begin with.
Initially, and that's where they was able to do the stenting and really ward off some of the symptomatics that I was sharing. I was like, I'm trying to be his voice. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I know. I am the sole caretaker. And boom, we come right back here, and he throws a heart attack.
And we're gonna take a break, but we will get to some more important details when we come right back. You're listening to us on The Point 93.3. You can call into 671-888-TALK. We'll be right back.
KFC's Lent menu is filled with so many seafood options, it's enough to keep you going for the entire Lenten season. They're all here: popcorn shrimp, fish wraps, fish fillets, shrimp and crab Kiloquin wraps, and our famous KFC shrimp burger. And now you can mix and match chicken and fish in both 6 and 12-piece family meals with sides and biscuits. KFC's Lent menu is available for a limited time at all KFC restaurants and for delivery at kfcguam.com or WhatsApp 300-3278. KFC, it's finger-licking good for Lent.
Hi, this is Jerry Roberts. What's happening in the workplace? What about your job and career? What ideas will find their way into your world? That's what you get with the Extra Point every day on The Ray Gibson Show here on 93.3 FM. Sometimes it's about what's in the news, or working relationships, or how to get further and do better. I try to make it interesting, inspiring, and hopefully sneak a little fun in too. Be a part of it. 7:25 weekday mornings. The Extra Point. Brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank.
And we're back. So we had 2 comments on Facebook. Frank and Chris Tidegui, buenas and half a day. Keep up the good work. Many thanks. And then Gallo Paris Jr., veteran guest pass not allowed at Anderson, ? Yes, sir. Unfortunately, as of December 2024, Veterans Health Identification Card holders cannot sponsor. So these are veterans from 0% to 90% service connected. You can no longer sponsor an Anderson. So if you do want to attend the free summit up at Anderson at the Sunrise Conference Center, you're going to have to find someone with base access. And then if anyone doesn't have base access and you're working on your claim and you would like to get in touch with us, we are having one in August, so that's our annual symposium. So it's similar to what we're about to do it up at Anderson. So if you do want to attend, just pay attention to August, and that one will be public. So that one also is 3 days long. First 2 days of resources. Third day we'll have our benefits boot camp. So we did want to wrap it up a little bit from Ms. Brenda, and I asked her during the break, I said, well, from all of the things that you had to go through. Oh, and Joanna Fullerton says, good evening. Good evening.
Hello.
And then from all the things that, you've experienced, which unfortunately should not happen to veterans, but I personally know of 4 veteran families that happened to, and they actually did not make it. I mean, they're not living anymore. That's what I mean. So I think when I heard your case and what you were going through, I said, hey, you need to call the congressman's office. We need to cut this red tape real fast, because unless you have itinerary in your email, in your hand, you're not going anywhere.
That's true.
So do you have any tips and tricks for
I highly recommend veterans to, if things are not moving in the right direction, you exercise your rights to really medical care. When someone's crossing you and saying that you cannot actually exercise your rights to medical care, you need to stop there. Call the congressman and ask him, is it possible that I could exercise my rights to medical care to get to the care that I need? Hawaii, wherever it is, I need to be able to get that care. And I highly recommend that you do call, because the veteran representative there that works there, he does a very good job. He's very thorough, and it could be his job, but he goes far beyond that. He calls, he checks everything, he checks back in with you, and they will get things moving.
Very nice. And it shouldn't have to be that way, right? I mean, we should be using our congressman's office as a last resort, and, these things that, we might be encountering, right? We should find out how to improve that, right? I guess when you went to Palo Alto, you had a wonderful experience there. And according to you, they speak English there.
Absolutely.
And then here on Guam, I think that, we need to make sure if we're speaking English here, maybe it's a different kind of English, but end of the day, what we have to do is make sure that what you experience in one place should be the same thing you should be experiencing when you're here. And if we continue to have a problem, what we should be doing is the leadership up there at the CBOC, maybe just try to find out whether is Miss Rivera here telling, tall tales, or is Miss Rivera really speaking the truth about what happened to her? And had she not been around, how would her husband be treated? Or he may have fallen to the wayside and not been receiving care if it weren't for you going there. And
exactly.
And it could be just the case that they didn't, somebody, paperwork slipped through the cracks or whatever it might be, but maybe we shouldn't have that slipping through the cracks. And if we can have a mechanism to not have that happen anymore, I think would be something that we could hopefully get, and none of this is designed to say people are lazy or not doing their job. Elon will take care of that for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for us, our job is to say, hey, as a veteran, if you tell me what the rules are, I can exercise how to get to them, right? And if you're saying this is what you got to do, we go do it. And then, if we didn't do that, then they can say, hey, you guys are just, making things up, and that's not right. So, but if you don't even have what the rules are, how are we going to know what we need to do? And if the rules were broken, how do we get them fixed? You know what I mean? That's going to be the next piece to that. So.
Did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, I found some broken spaces in there, but I just kept pushing through it. And what I mean by broken spaces, I didn't understand what was the connection between Hawaii's Benny and Palo Alto's Benny. What is the number of the connection so that I can continue to pursue it?
Right.
And so that was the goal. So if you ever go into any broken spaces, just pursue those broken spaces because we've already got it at this level. But when we come to the next level, just pursue it by asking the right questions. Get phone numbers and names of people's bosses. And that's what helped a lot.
And so those that are listening, when she says Benny and Benny, she's talking about Benny travel. So a veteran that is 30% service connected can have a non-medical attendant go with the veteran for medical care. So that's what she's saying, Benny travel. And then also you'll get reimbursed. So if you're service connected 30%, you can have someone go with you. They'll pay, the VA will pay for your lodging, will pay for your airfare, and will reimburse you your meals when you come back according to the per diem of the location. So I think that's the part you were talking about was, hey, if you gave me this packet, sent me to all the way to Palo Alto, and in this packet you told me to directly bring these all to you, all my receipts, and nothing's moving. Why did you send it to Palo Alto, Benny Travel, when they weren't in this process at all to begin with? Did they inform you they were going to send it to Palo Alto?
After for 8 weeks, yeah.
And it's always best to get everything in writing.
Yes, I will. I'll go back and confirm that.
Or send a secure message via My Healthy Vet because that stuff is tracked and time stamped.
Okay.
So do it that way as well. You know how to use My Healthy Vet?
Yes.
Okay. My Healthy Vet messages, compose a message.
Yes.
They should be in the drop down menu.
Yes.
Ike Ezeki says this episode should be bundled and sent to Congressman's office to have taken up with the new VA director under Musk.
Well, and so here's the thing, right? So we get veterans, right, that they have no problem whatsoever, right? And we feel that that's good for them, right? Now, just because these people don't have any problem doesn't mean other people don't have problems, right? So what we're saying is if there is a problem, what is the problem and how do we find a solution to that problem? And here's the thing, how nice is it for another veteran to fall into the same problem you have? Do you think that's something you would want another veteran to have?
Absolutely
where they
not.
have to pay out of pocket. On two instances, you talk to them and it falls on deaf ears. You fly back home because they tell you to fly back home, only to fly back to go get care. You know, we probably don't want that to be happening. So, did you want to touch on more issues of what we got coming up, or?
Oh yes. Did you want to add anything else before we change channels?
No, that's good. Thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. You know, what happened to you when you said that you got the best care? Mr. Berdalio over there at the Congressman's office really helped you. That's a good story. That's
and
a good
once we got to Palo Alto, it was amazing. Everything was smooth.
Yes.
We didn't have to do anything.
Are you saying they don't take care of us here in Guam? Because
I'm
if
not
that's the
saying
case,
that.
I'm bringing Palo Alto out here.
I'm saying that he's still alive thanks to Guam, and I'm grateful. However, we went there and we saw a difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something, I mean, it could be something we can shoot for. You know, we're out of sight, out of mind. So we really got to look at that.
When you say different, it's a giant hospital?
Different, yeah, because all facilities was there. Different that we went for neuro. We got our consultation right on, and the doctor followed us through, and we had another discipline, ENT. We were able to get right into ENT the very next morning. All the MRIs, all the CAT scans, everything was by walk-in. We walked in. They said, it's going to be a little wait, 7 minutes. I said, well, we'll go have lunch. We'll go have lunch and come back. She says, well, you could go grab lunch, but leave him here, and I'll see which room I can kind of get him in between because, of course, it's a full facility of people who are actually in the facility in-house go before a person walking off the streets if they need, your MRIs. What? I'm sorry?
These are VA employees, these doctors and nurses in Palo Alto?
And a lot of them are from Stanford, and they work there and there. A lot of them are just, VA workers, but my doctor was 4 days in 2 different clinics. But it was just a nice segue to get everything done in a matter of appointments in 3 physical days and 2 more days to wait for results to get cleared to come back home.
Wow. You have a great story. Thank you for joining us. For those listening, we have our Veteran Summit tomorrow.
Yes.
So if you make it up to Anderson, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Lunch and refreshments will be provided. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to say hi to
that's
Knox and
right.
Aaliyah, so our producer didn't do that for me today. But and hi Knox, hi Aaliyah, and hi Mom.
All
Thank
right,
you
we'll
guys
see
for
you
coming
all
in.
next
Yeah, you're
week.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The Point is KUSG, Hagåtña, Guam, 93.3 FM and 104.3 HD3.
Trump and Putin set to discuss Ukraine. I'm Sue Guzman, Fox News. President Trump telling reporters Sunday night he expects to meet with Russian President Putin on Tuesday to discuss a possible ceasefire peace plan to end the war in Ukraine.
We'll be talking about land. We'll be talking about power plants. That's it's a big question.
Commenting aboard Air Force One as he returned to Washington from Florida, he said they had been having discussions about ending the war in Ukraine and divvying those up as the assets, and he suggested an announcement could be forthcoming on Tuesday. The White House says it did not defy a federal court order to return migrants deported over the weekend. Fox's Jared Halpern has more from the White House.
The Trump administration did not refuse to comply with a court order, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says, after the administration flew hundreds of suspected migrant gang members to El Salvador and Honduras. Leavitt says while the order from a federal district court judge had no lawful basis, it was issued after the migrants were already out of U.S. territory and airspace. Judge James Boasberg issued his ruling Saturday, temporarily blocking the deportations. He verbally ordered the aircraft turned around, but did not include that in his final written order. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The Vatican releasing the first photo of Pope Francis since